All right, I'm Dr. Jeremy Barone, and we are here at Barone Spinal Care and Performance this morning. And I'm here with Mark Russ. And Mark Russ was actually referred in, he and his son, from Don Cousins. Is that right?
Yeah, that's
okay.
right.
So Mark, tell us a little bit about why you came to Barone Spinal Care and Performance. What was it that Don said to you that made you want to investigate coming here?
Don basically said that there's been some miracles that have happened through this office. His son has been treated and has been seen very great results. He's heard about another player on the team that said it was a miracle, and I thought, you know, I've been struggling with issues myself. Let's give it a try, even though I walked in a little skeptical. You know,
to say the least. Okay, and tell us a little bit about what you were struggling with. Explain, you know, the heart palpitations that you described to me, what the history was of those, and what that was like for you, you know, living through that.
In the 80s, I developed a fast heart rate, SVT, supraventricular tachycardia, and I struggled with that for 16 years. And I would have episodes where I'd be going 250, 300 beats a minute. And eventually, getting older, I decided I was going to get an ablation done because there was nothing we could do about that. So, had the ablation done successfully. It was great. And then, since then, I had about a year of just normal heart rate, no more fear of having to run to the ambulance or into the emergency room. And then I developed an irregular heart rate, and I had a lot of skipping going on. And it wasn't AFib, it was benign. They called it like hiccups in the heart. And that's great, but it debilitates a person when they're trying to work. And I felt every heartbeat since I was ultra sensitive anyway. So one of my biggest issues and reasons of coming here was the fact that I need to see if I could alleviate these irregular heart rates. I was getting anywhere between 7 and 25 skips a minute. So that would equate way over 20,000 in a day.
What did that feel like when you were experiencing?
Well, I couldn't work. I mean, I would be talking to somebody, or I'd be in a meeting, and I would feel it gagging up in my throat. And they told me the reason is because the way it's squeezing the heart and the way it's these pre-beats, these PVCs. And so I would just have to stop and take a deep breath because it was just debilitating. And so I said, you know, when I heard about what you do from the neck up, and I thought, if this is I have an electrical transmission problem, and I thought if it's coming from the brain, the electrical currents, maybe this would help in some way.
Sure, sure. Now explain what you're, explain what you noticed today. You said something to me when you came in for your appointment today. You were a little bit shocked, and you said, "I can't believe it."
Yeah.
Explain a little bit about what you've noticed since your adjustment.
Well, what's interesting is since these adjustments, and if you knew me, I would tell you that this is not staged. This is the real me, and I would definitely tell you the black side if it was there. But I noticed in the last few weeks that I'm not checking my pulse. I'm sitting at work, and I'm going through a lot of stress right now because I'm doing a job change. But what's been interesting is when there is stress, it brings these on even more. And I was sitting here thinking, and I just told my wife the other day, I said, I don't feel any skipping at all. And if it is skipping, I'm not noticing it. And so I just told you, I said, it's kind of freaky. Maybe it's just by chance, and I don't want to give you a lot of credit, but I think there is some association between the adjustments and what's going on with my heart.
Sure, absolutely. When was it that, I mean, obviously this started to change, and then it came to a point where you just said, well, wait a minute, there's a connection here. I mean, at what point did you realize, did you have one of those moments where you said, oh my gosh, yeah, I haven't had that the last few days, or yes. What was that moment where
The moment was my wife saying, okay, I don't hear you complaining about that.
Okay,
what's
that
going
was
on?
the moment.
And I think it was more of a moment of silence where I just started taking for granted how I used to live,
yeah,
which I haven't felt in years. And my wife is like, I don't think you're going to talk about your heart anymore. I go, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And that was a couple days ago.
Yeah.
And so when I came in here, I had to at least tell you,
yeah.
that what's going on.
Yeah. And that is a prime example how the aligning the atlas vertebra and getting the electrical system of the body regulating itself properly, getting the nervous system, autonomic nervous system functioning properly, affects the heart in a very powerful way, as well as other organs, obviously. And here's a prime example. We've had many, many patients that have seen dramatic changes with very serious heart issues. Obviously, with Mark, it was disrupting his life, it was disrupting his work. It's extremely scary. He's had 9,500 irregularities in a day before with use of a Holter monitor. Mark, you also came in with heartburn, fatigue, cracking in the jaw. It's very new right now that you're under care, but obviously we expect some changes there too. Heartburn, 95% of the time, we see those things improve as well. We've got a little bit of time left, so explain a little bit about what the procedure was like when you came in. Obviously, this is a very different type of office that you've ever been in before.
Yes.
Explain what that was like, the initial examination and the first adjustment, what that was like for you.
Yeah, I'm pro holistic medicine. In fact, I really don't like doctors. I think a lot of them are quacks, except when you have to get, like Dr. Kawasaki, who was unbelievable, who did this ablation for me. He saved my life. So I have such a high respect for them. But when it comes to a doctor that says, I can't help you with Meniere's, I can't help you with certain things because these are autoimmune issues, then you've got to go to the alternative medicine because no one else is going to help you. And you've got to take control of your life. So when I came in here, they did, one of the things I didn't tell you, and I'll say it right now, is that it's very technical and very systematic in how they measure all these numbers, and I mean, you do this very technically. And I never had that done before. I've been to tons of chiropractors, but that's never happened. And also, the way that he adjusted me, he says, okay, I think I got it now. And I'm like, I don't think you did anything. You just touched my neck. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I mean, are you absolutely serious that this is going to do something for me? And I walked out, said, thank you. And I walked out and I said, boy, that was probably a waste of money. And then I was sore later that day. And I said, he didn't even touch my body. And I was sore in the lower back. So I was like, something's happening. My son comes here and he said the same thing. So, sometimes you just got to give up the pessimistic attitude and you got to really start looking at the facts and what's happening. And I'll tell you one other thing. For anybody out there that is struggling with palpitations and struggling with SVT, I know your lifestyle and I've lived it for 20 years. And it's debilitating. It's scary. It's you feel like you can't go on anymore. And so when all else fails, you can never give up hope, and you got to keep trying. Even if I've been to a bunch of quacky doctors, but you've got to try it. And so an experience like this is very significant for me, and it not only brings my life back, but it brings me connection with my family, with my work, with my passion, and with my energy.
Okay, excellent. Well, Mark, I really want to thank you for sharing. Let me just, before we close, I just want to talk a little bit about what your posture looked like when you came in. When you came in, your right leg was short by a full inch. Your right shoulder was low and twisted forward 2 degrees. Your right hip was low. Your upper body was actually 1.5 increments to the left of the center of your 2 feet. So your body was visually distorted under gravity, and that was affecting your autonomic nervous system, because we know that there is a direct correlation between structure of the body and function of the body, and that's what we saw with Mark. So we knew that when we put him back on center and freed up the nervous system, we predicted that his body would begin to regulate itself properly. Now, I didn't know for sure if his heart palpitations would clear up, because we never know for sure. But we can postulate that if the nervous system's functioning better, then doesn't it make sense that the organ systems are going to function better, since they're controlled and regulated by the nervous system? And that's what we're seeing with Mark here today. So, Mark, thank you so much for just sharing your story with us, and I look forward to our future visits together.
Yeah, and I want to thank you guys. And listen, when the doctor's telling you need to go back and get an ablation and spend the $40,000, try another alternative before you do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
Well said. All right, thanks, Mark.
All righty.